Hey, what's happening, guys? So you've been thinking about moving to North Idaho, but not completely sure on if it's the space and the spot you really want to be at. Well, we got 10 reasons you might not want to move to North Idaho. Spoiler alert, we might be standing in one of them right now. On 10 reasons maybe you might not want to move to North Idaho. Obviously, we always love chatting about how amazing our area is and why we love it so much. But there are some quirks about it as well that you might want to know if you're not familiar with North Idaho. So we're going to run through those top 10. Some of them you might think are pretty obvious, some might not be. So let's kick it off. All right, Ben, I'm going to take number one. So
Go ahead.
Number one reason you might not want to move to North Idaho. We shot a little intro video there here to begin this video. It's a teaser. It's the weather. It's an obvious one. We get quite a bit amount of snow through the winter. If you're not a fan of snow, if you're not a fan of maybe short days in terms of light, the sun going down at 4 p.m. in the wintertime, this might not be the spot for you. We get crazy winters, some winters, and some they're mild, so it's pretty unpredictable. It's hard to predict year by year. And it's been crazy. When you say, Ben, this year we haven't had any snow in like November, December, but it hit maybe in February.
Yeah, it's kind of been the trend for the last few years. We've been getting a late winter, late snow, which actually we're even getting a late summer too. It's like all the months have kind of shifted a little bit. But you know what they say about this area: if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes, and it'll change. And when we shot that original intro, that was a week ago. We're just doing the back end of this, and it snowed a foot in one day, and then today, it's 60 degrees and sunny. So changes pretty quickly, but it is unpredictable.
It's crazy. And I got to be honest, I'm born and raised in Coeur d'Alene, so I've been here almost 38 years. And I got to be honest, I don't like the winters. I don't like them. I'm not.
Because you're a golfer.
I'm a golfer. I grew up skiing, so you can, if one way to enjoy it is you really have to utilize the winter time. You got to utilize the snow, go skiing, learn to snowboard, ski, snowmobile. I ski maybe 2 times a year, and I do like it, but I do prefer setting up some vacations come February, March, April, May. That's the time me and the family, we tend to head down south, either to Mexico or Arizona, California, anywhere you can get some sunshine. So
that's a good time to go because, you've already kind of been through the winter and you're ready for some change. So, that's definitely a popular time to go down south.
Cool. Yeah. So if you're not a fan of cold weather, snow, this might not be a spot for you. Ben, kick off number 2.
All right. Number 2. So I'm going to go with limited nightlife / music scene. Coeur d'Alene is growing, but it's certainly not anything like I would consider a major city, a Seattle, a Chicago, whatever. We do have cool bars and in a unique night scene and music scene. We mostly just get local bands, which are awesome as well. But you're not going to find, the bands that you hear on the radio or the ones that are all over iTunes coming into arenas. We just don't have that capability here. So for some people that might be a detriment, but on the other side, we're a half hour away from Spokane, which has a Spokane arena and has, larger venues, which a lot of those, larger music or more popular nationwide industries will go to. But if you're looking for something like I lived in Portland and Seattle for a few years, and you can go anywhere pretty much any night and see a pretty cool show. And it's just different here. It's just a smaller town. So we do have the Live After 5 show in the summertime.
Yep.
It's a really cool, it happens every Wednesday. And they find smaller bands, and we have a big gathering. I don't know how many people. Conor was the biggest one, maybe 2,000 people showed up in the park, something like that.
Yeah.
And that varies, but so we still have a lot of cool events and everything, but it's certainly not the same as a major city.
Yeah, and another cool thing about the area, even though North Idaho specifically, we don't have much of a music scene at all, like you were mentioning, but like you're saying, Spokane, and we have one of the coolest, I think, music venues in the world, or at least in America, which is about a 2-hour drive west, is the Gorge in George Washington. It's
Right.
pretty much about smack dab in the middle of Washington, halfway between here and Seattle. But
Mm-hmm.
if you have never been there, and if you're a music junkie, if you like to go to concerts, that place is, you got to put on your bucket list. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been to a concert in Red Rocks, but I've been and toured the venue there. It's similar to that. It's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it's utopia to me. I mean, I obviously 2020 we didn't get to enjoy it like we usually do, but there's no other venue like it. I know Dave Matthews plays there every Labor Day. They call it Labor Dave,
Labor Dave.
along with Watershed and everything you can think of.
Yep.
Uh, it really is just an experience like no other. Looking at the Columbia River, thousands of people camp overnight. It's I love the Gorge. Can't wait to go back.
Cool. Awesome. So number three, I'm going to kick off. Number three reason you might not want to move here is if you love to shop. So this one is like, I don't really care that much about it, but my wife certainly does. Coeur d'Alene, North Idaho as a whole, if you're looking for, really, good shopping, stores, brands, clothing stores, even going down to like, a Trader Joe's or like organic food markets. We have a couple of those. But I mean, even, last week we need to get some new furniture, new couches at our house, and we don't have a lot of options in North Idaho. So it can be frustrating at times for people moving from bigger metros on how, even clothing stores to furniture stores. We do have them, but just not a big variety of them. I mean, I would probably say our per capita of ladies purchasing Birchbox, Wantable, Stitch Fix is probably highest in the country, just because there's not a lot of places to go shopping,
Right.
at least, or that's just my wife's deliveries, I guess. But you can go over to Spokane. You can go to down Riverfront Park has some, Nordstrom's, a Nike store, Lululemon, and a lot of the up and coming brands. You can find down there, Northtown Mall, but Coeur d'Alene as a whole in North Idaho,
Mm-hmm.
no malls. You have no outlets really to speak of. So, I mean, the nice thing is online shopping is been booming. But if you really like to go shopping, if you like to go to stores, if you, like your Trader Joe's or,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of those type of things, we don't have many of those options. Would you say?
Yeah, no, I mean, this town is made up of a lot of, and the cool thing, I mean, it's a lot of local small businesses that make it up, and you don't really see a lot of the major corporate, which is what I'm going to talk about next. But, I'm not somebody that's really, I guess, an expert to talk about in shopping either. I mean, I need a pair of jeans like once a year.
Yeah.
And so I'm not an expert in that area, but with the way things are, the way people shop nowadays, I mean, it really doesn't matter. I mean, you definitely just have to be that type of person that loves to go to the mall or whatever, likes their
Right.
stores, which Spokane has them. So again, not too far away, but in Coeur d'Alene, they have the art galleries and the small cool candy shops and all that sort of thing. So it's just, you're right, it's a little different.
Yeah, and I've seen it on both sides of the spectrum, from people moving in from out of state. Like, some of them are actually surprised by how much commerce we have here, because in their mind, they think there's really nothing in Idaho, when we actually do have a fair amount of businesses and shops. But if you're coming from a world where you're used to going down to the mall and having options everywhere, within a 10-15 minute drive, it's not going to happen here. You just have to make a little bit further drive. So
Yep. Yeah. Half hour, which, we talk to people from out of town, and, that a half hour drive is nothing compared to what they have to do even when they live in the same city. So it's really not that big of a deal.
No. All right. Go for number four.
Number four. So what I'm going to talk about is limited employment opportunities. So again, Coeur d'Alene is growing, and it's definitely been found But one of the main questions we always get is, what's the main industry? What supports the town? And it is limited right now. Our main industry is construction. Obviously, we're growing, so a lot of new developers are buying up land, and construction is at an all-time high. I mean, if you're a framer, you're an electrician, plumber, anything in that respect, you'll have no problem finding a job right now. And that's going to continue to go, no doubt. If you're in the medical field, obviously with last year and everything that's going on, you're in a good position for employment here as well. Nurses, doctors, chiropractors, you name it, hot demand in Coeur d'Alene. And then, lastly, Coeur d'Alene's a resort town. People come here for vacation. And so our downtown area is, if you're in the service industry, restaurant business, bar business, anything like that, you'll have no problem finding a job. It's which is kind of cool. Our downtown area is definitely supported by the service industry, and those sort of things. What we don't have is major corporate businesses like an Amazon, like a Microsoft, like a Google, like those high tech, big, corporate businesses. We just don't have them. Again, Spokane, if you don't feel like, if you feel like you can commute half hour, 45 minutes across the border, a lot of people do that. So there are options for that, but in specifically Coeur d'Alene, North Idaho area, you just don't see many of it.
Yeah, and I think just from growing up here, and it seems like almost everyone I know, either grown up with or has lived here for a while, at some point in time has worked in a service industry job when they started out, whether you're waiting tables, bartending, caddying at the resort, working at one of the major private, golf courses around the area, being a ski instructor. It's just a lot of service oriented jobs, and a lot of people kind of go from there and graduate up to professional jobs, whether it's real estate, whether it's insurance, banking, lawyers, and I can't emphasize it enough with you, Ben, in terms of the medical field is growing like crazy. Kootenai Health, Northwest Specialty Hospital, there's 2 or 3 big hospital systems in Spokane as well, and with our area growing, that's just more people that need, healthcare. And also the population here does trend on the older side. So a lot of retirees move here, live here, and there's a lot of baby boomers. Medical field is just going to keep being one of those drivers in our area. So
yep. And Kootenai Hospital specifically, I mean, they just did like a big renovation within the last 5-10 years of their hospital, expanding it, making it bigger, making it newer. So it is an attractive place for people in that industry to come to. And again, you shouldn't have any difficulty finding a position in that area.
Cool. All right. Number 5 is kind of ties back to my number 1 as well, but we have a extremely short golf and boating season. It's unbelievable. It's gorgeous when the season is here. It beats anywhere in the country. Prove me wrong. But really the golf course is probably open in April 1st here. So we're waiting about 1 more month, and they close up in October. But to be honest, April, May golf and October golf, you're bundled up. I've been golfing in tournaments where it's sideways, rain, hail, snow, and we just battle through it if you're into that sport. Same thing with boating too. I get a lot of people reach out and say, okay, we want to schedule a trip, or we're going to go, we're renting an Airbnb. We want to rent a boat and go swimming in middle of May. And I'm like, oh boy, just a heads up, that water's not getting really swimmable or comfortable, probably honestly till the beginning of July. Like, I mean, I'm getting a little bit of a wussy in my old age in terms of how cold I can jump in the water. But kind of my rule of thumb now is I don't get in the lake until early July, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I cold water and me don't get along. I mean, there's a lot of people who around here who don't care. I mean, we have the polar plunge in the new year where people
right
standards Beach, go out there and hop into the water on New Year's Day. My blood definitely doesn't match with that.
No, you won't see me out there. I think
No, and like I said, man, it seems like the months are shifting downward, and for me, it seems like summer starts like right after the 4th of July here.
Yep.
And it's really been getting hot from July, August, and even into September. And June's comfortable and beautiful. It's more my style. But I mean, like I said, I'm the same way. Some people might want to jump in May. That's not me.
Yeah, you'll find people out there in May, June, and then on the back end in September, October, wake surfing in their wetsuits, or the diehards are getting out there, getting after it. And it's actually kind of cool in those shoulder seasons because there's not as many boats, so you get the lakes to yourself. But the prime times of July and August are just when it's really comfortable to go swimming, boating, and golfing. So that's a little bit of a down. If you're really into a diehard golfer or a boater, lake life, you can't really do that from October all the way through May. And
and the opposite could be true for people living in Arizona or Palm Springs. We have a lot of snowbirds who come up here in the summer, and live down south during the winter. Nobody wants to be golfing when it's 120 degrees in Phoenix.
Yeah.
So we do have those colder months or whatever, but the opposite can kind of be true in the southern areas.
Cool.
All right, me again here.
Yeah. Number 6.
Right, number 6, minimal public transportation. I mean, I don't know how much else to really expand on that. I mean, we have a bus stop, a newer one over in Riverstone. But to be honest with you, I don't even know where the bus routes are. It's just been kind of non-existent. Spokane's got an incredible public transportation system, but I would say for the most part, people in the Kootenai County area, if they need a ride, it's Ubers and taxis.
Yeah.
It's just the bus service and public transit. There's no trolleys, there's no max trains or anything like that. So that's one of the things. If you have to travel for work and you don't have your own vehicle, it might be a challenge for you.
Yeah, and that's one thing I would love to see our community improve on as we grow, because we're definitely growing. And the reason haven't had public transportation is just we've always been a small town, and I don't think it warranted it. But like, it would be cool now to have some trolleys downtown to Riverstone, or take you up north, Coeur d'Alene or Hayden. Right. But yeah, there's just really nothing in terms of public transportation. So that's a little bit of a different vibe from someone coming from more of a metro area where you're used to being able to hop on, a bus or train and go somewhere. It would be cool to have something like that between Spokane and Coeur d'Alene someday. And even Ubers, I think Uber was like, probably we were one of the last areas to kind of get
right.
I mean,
yeah.
If you're downtown back 5 years ago, it was even tough to get an Uber. I think we're pretty covered now, but
right.
It's just not like the bigger metros. But as we grow, I think they will continue to work and improve that. The one thing we do have is a good like bike trail system, though. So like if the Centennial Trail is pretty awesome, Prairie Trail. But other than that, public transportation pretty non-existent.
Yeah, and I live North Coeur d'Alene. If I want to get an Uber downtown, it's $15. So
got it.
Who knows? That'll probably change, but just to give you an idea of what it would cost one way.
That's good to know.
North side of the Coeur d'Alene border to downtown, it's roughly $15 to $20.
Cool. All right, number 7 is not many private school options. This may or may not be a factor for you, but if you're really into having your kids have a lot of opportunity in different private schools, we just don't have a ton of that here. I mean, I grew up a child of 2 local public school teachers and principals. So I'm always championing our public school systems here. I think it's fantastic in terms of the Coeur d'Alene Public School District, Post Falls, and Lakeland. Um, very great teachers, administrators, really community driven schools. But if you're looking for that private school experience, we really have only a couple charter schools, which aren't, fully, it's not really a private school option. Coeur d'Alene Charter Academy does really well, and has super high standards. Just opened last year a brand new charter school called Hayden Canyon Charter up off of Lancaster in Hayden. Super popular, even within its first year. Um, but in terms of actual private schools, there's Genesis Prep out of Post Falls. But when I was growing up, there was none of that. It was just public schools here in Coeur d'Alene, and then anyone who wanted to opt into a private school would literally commute every day to Spokane to Gonzaga Prep. I had friends who lived here in Coeur d'Alene and went to Gonzaga Prep in Spokane, which is kind of crazy, but that's just North Idaho doesn't have that many options.
Right. Yeah, people still do that too. I mean, like you said, we've added some private schools here, but I still know many people who have their kids commute all the way to Spokane to Gonzaga Prep. So you're, I don't have kids of my own, but I did grow up in North Idaho as well, and I went through the public school system and highly recommend it. It was incredible. I don't know what it's like really to grow up in a place where you have a ridiculous, teacher to student ratio. All of our classes were still really, small, and quality faculty and everything. So certainly recommend our public school system in North Idaho. But if you want to go the private school route, there's a couple options unless you want to go over to Spokane.
Yeah, one thing to note with our public school system in Idaho in particular, Idaho doesn't really fund hardly at all compared to other states, the public schools. So our public schools are really community driven. So it's really city by city, district by district on how quality the school district is. And fortunately, Coeur d'Alene as a community has always been really, really great at backing the public school district in terms of voting yes on levies and bonds when we need a new school, and all of the community schools have PTAs that are really involved, and so it's all good. But as we grow, there's going to be becoming more options. We've seen it just in the past 5 years. So
yep,
that's
absolutely.
number 7. Number 8, Ben, what we got?
Hey, it's my favorite one, man. Dating scene. So for all
I give you that one. I couldn't take that one.
Conor's been married for the last 40 years, so I am single, so I know this very well. Again, it kind of ties back to Coeur d'Alene being a small community. A lot of people marry their high school sweethearts or marry young. So if you're a middle-aged individual moving here, in all honesty, there's not a lot of options for that. And Conor, you've told me about some of your buddies who've actually moved to like Seattle or Portland or whatever to try and find that other single person that they are compatible with, because it really isn't super easy to do here. And I can very much attest to that. I love living here, and I don't plan on leaving. It'll happen when it happens. But certainly, if you are middle-aged and you're thinking that if you move here, you're going to find somebody immediately, I mean, good for you if you do. But it's certainly not top on the list of trying to find somebody that's single.
Not a lot of singles. I mean, Spokane, again, you go to the bigger city and can go out down there. I'm guessing is a little bit better of a dating scene, but
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're still a small town vibe. It's once you get plugged into some networks and friend groups and other things, you find out real quick that pretty much everybody kind of knows everybody or has acquaintances with everybody. We're still not big enough where you can just meet a new person every day, out and about.
So. No, and like I had mentioned earlier, I lived in Seattle and Portland for a while, and it was like the norm to be in your low 30s, late 20s or whatever, and be single. It's just what a lot of people do. But here it's different. Like I said, people are marrying their high school sweethearts and starting families. It's got that small town vibe, which is awesome. But that's just the truth.
Yep. Cool. Well, I'm gonna go number 9. I think we're on number 9, right?
Yep.
Number 9 is don't move here if you think you're going to be getting a deal and home prices are super low, because it is not the case. If you watched our last few videos through the end of 2020, I apologize because it's probably redundant and you're probably sick of us hammering this home. And I don't want to be a pessimist. I'm always, my wife says I'm the eternal optimist. I'm always optimistic, but it really depends on where you're coming from. But we are not cheap anymore. I'm pulling it up right now on the fly, real time here. Our average sales price, median sales price in all of Coeur d'Alene right now, and this is like, well, let's go houses. So site built homes, and including new construction, all listing types, we're looking at 420,000 is the median home price. So I think that's up about 22% year over year from last year. But overall, we're seeing like increase year over year of like 30 to 40% in some of the pocket markets. Listings under 400 are becoming rarer and rarer. I think there was like 8. I ran a list of under 300 a couple weeks ago, and I think there were 3 active listings. So to some people, if you're in San Francisco, in LA, in Portland, in Seattle, you're still like, okay, we're still affordable. But we also do get a lot of calls from anyone kind of inland from the coasts, anyone in middle America, down south. They call and aren't super educated, and they think Idaho, you might be able to move there for a little bit cheaper, and they're blown away by our home sales prices. Cost of living is still low up here, in terms of groceries. Gas has been going up a little bit, but taxes are low. A lot of other things. Childcare is super low compared to other areas, but home prices are not. So that's one thing. Do not move here if you think you're going to be like getting a really cheap house for under 300,000. That's pretty much.
I mean, it's true. We've done a lot of videos on that recently, and there's reasons why. Obviously, 2020, we're seeing a lot of growth from people in major cities in particular, and the markets in those cities are higher than they are here. And so a lot of those folks, have the capability to come over here and purchase at that high rate, while nobody wants to leave here. So obviously limited inventory, high demand, that's going to skyrocket prices. And so that's what we've been seeing, the last year, more than I've ever seen it in my real estate career by far.
Yep, absolutely. So, all right, let's finish it up. Let's wrap this up. Number 10, Ben, what we got?
Okay, last one. No professional sports teams in Idaho. I mean, I guess there's a minor league baseball team down in Boise, a Cubs affiliate. But we do not have any NBA teams, NFL teams, MLB teams. So you kind of have to, if you're into sports, you're going to have to travel if you want to go see a professional game. Obviously, Seattle is the main hub for people. I guess on the other side, you kind of have the option to choose whatever team you want to like too. If you're from Philadelphia, you're not allowed to like the Cowboys.
Right.
Which,
I swear to God, there was a lot of brand new Tampa Bay fans this year.
Yeah, I know, right? All of a sudden, we see Brady jerseys walking down Sherman in Bucks uniforms. But with that being said, I'm wearing my Zag hat today. We both went to Gonzaga. We're huge Gonzaga fans. They're obviously an incredible basketball program, men's and women's. That's in Spokane, number 1 all year. Let's see if we can finish it out. That's
Zags.
an amazing thing. But again, half hour away. It's not easy to get tickets to Gonzaga games, but there are ways to do it, especially in the wintertime, like when students go away. Those options open up. But it is pretty fascinating to see how much this community supports Gonzaga.
Yeah.
And local. And even when we were running, Conor and I listed a neighborhood in Post Falls for almost 5 years. During the tournament, they took all the builder flags down and replaced them with Gonzaga flags throughout the whole community. Got some people that weren't too happy about that, but for the most part, it's very supportive and cool. But again, if you're a huge NFL fan, I mean, the closest you're going to get is Seattle for about a 4.5-hour drive.
Yep, you're driving, and that, it's pretty cool though, because our whole community kind of rallies. I wouldn't say whole community, but a lot of it rallies around Gonzaga as our pseudo pro sports team. And we do have a minor league baseball team over in Spokane Indians, who actually just bumped up a couple leagues. I think this year they're going to be a long season single A team, which is fun to take the kids there. There's a lot of cool things about minor league baseball and watching it in the summertime. They have a lot of cool events.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's true. If you are a diehard sports fan and you love to go to these professional games, you got to make a trek to Seattle. But we've survived, and me and you are two of the biggest sports fans I know. So
yeah, you get by and you just make sacrifice. I'm going to spring training next week down in Arizona, so I got to get my fix.
Make excuses to go on a little vacation. So
exactly.
Yeah. So those are 10 reasons. I know we did this list last year. We sprinkled in a few new ones. Those are reasons you might not want to move to North Idaho if those items are a huge deal to you. However, there is a lot of pros. I don't think we'd have enough time to do a pro list. But we know all the details. We're both from the area. We both work with people all year, helping them find a place to live. So whether it's downtown, whether it's on acreage, whether it's Hayden, Post Falls, anywhere, you got to reach out to us. We do this professionally, full time. We run a team, and we're here to help you. So again, make sure to call, text, or email, and we'll set you up with an agent and get you where you want to be. Appreciate it. And until the next video, we'll see you later.
See you later.